Hey Exile, PoE Academy here with a top tier league starter for 3.21 Crucible League. It is speedy, it is tanky, and it has proven itself in the last Gauntlet. Spark Tricksters, ladies and gentlemen. Now you might be thinking, no. Wait, I've heard about all the nerfs to the skill. It's pretty bad now, right? Turns out it isn't, and here's why. First, Spark lost one projectile early on. On paper this looks bad, but if you understand that this build shreds through bosses even during leveling in the Gauntlet, you know that losing one projectile doesn't make a real difference in the regular game. Second, the skill's base projectile speed was also lowered, and while you will probably notice the nerf with other ascendancies, Trickster has access to so much projectile and action speed that you will barely notice this. But PoE Academy, we don't have access to 25% increased mana reservation efficiency for Grace. This makes the build unplayable, right? It doesn't, because we now have access to 12% global reservation efficiency on the new mana mastery, which is a net gain of 1% unreserved mana in this build. Okay, gotcha, but doesn't the nerf to Molten Shell will let you die all the time? Good catch, but no. While other builds reach shiny defensive numbers in PoB only by abusing Molten Shell, this build already has a very decent defensive baseline and only relies on Molten Shell for emergencies. Okay, I think you get the idea. Let's look at how the build works and what it's good for. It's pretty simple, even a bit dull. You cast Spark, maybe even precast it in boss encounters, fill the area with sparks and everything dies. Tornado and Sniper's Mark are your best buddies here because they let you produce much more projectiles easily. With a lot of cast speed, projectile speed and skill duration, you produce as many projectiles as possible while also keeping them alive as long as possible. Why is this important? Because when a spark projectile bounces off an obstacle, for example a wall, it can hit your target again, producing something like a shotgun effect. Other than that, you also slap on a bunch of auras and now you got yourself a pretty decent league starter. But what type of content is it good for? Obviously you want to have a good build for the type of content you want to engage with. Spark Trickster is an extremely good mapper and a decent bosser, however it really shines in mapping in narrow map layouts. If you plan to play content that synergizes with these layouts, for example Abyss, Harbinger, Ritual, Blight or Expedition, start with this build. Me and my friend are planning to abuse a party variation of it, as we've cooked up a very spicy Delirium, Abyss and Breach strategy. The only thing I don't recommend this build for is if you want to farm Legion, as you want to be farming legions in very open layouts, which bow characters usually clear much better. There's not much to say about leveling, except that you want to be using Stormblast Mine in the very beginning and swap to Spark as soon as you get it in Act 1. The leveling skills and also step-by-step leveling trees can be found in the PoB. Once you reach maps, there are a couple of 1C unique items that you can abuse to boost your experience early on. There are two items that are particularly powerful, the Singularity Scepter and the Karui Ward Amulet. The first one grants a ridiculous amount of damage and the second one makes you and your spark projectiles even faster. If you feel like you need more sustain, you might also be giving the Immortal Flesh belt a try, and me and my friend will abuse the Soul Thirst belt early on for our strategy. I've also added a couple more decent unique items into the item section for your convenience. I will be updating the PoB in the coming days and add a shopping list into the builds channel on my Discord that I think will save you and me a lot of headache finding decent items. I hope you will have a blast playing this build. Happy hunting Exile and see you in the next one.
No escape!